There's nothing like the feeling that this...
Your money. A second terrible week on Wall Street. Stocks continue to plunge. Why are they so unstable? What about next week and beyond? Decision 2000, the wild card, Pat Buchanan, chaos on the presidential campaign trail. In depth tonight, the family, the anguish of Alzheimer's, a promising new way for children to reconnect with their parents. And it used to be the loneliest phone on the planet, but now...
Mojave phone booth, Charlie speaking.
Why are so many people placing calls to the middle of nowhere?
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. There are millions of American investors who have never known a bear market, that long stretch of time when stock prices go down and stay there. This has been the longest run of rising prices in Wall Street history. But now some are beginning to ask, is it over? Or is this just a necessary course correction, as they call it? The news this week has been unsettling. The Dow was down just under 40 points today. NASDAQ was down almost 9.5 points. But the big picture, since Tuesday, the Dow is down 544 points. That's the worst point loss in a single week the blue chips have ever had. And over the past 2.5 weeks, it's down 749 points. What's going on? NBC's Mike Jensen is on Wall Street tonight. Mike, what's the latest there?
Tom, another bad day here on Wall Street, ending a terrible week with no end in sight to this sell-off. Investors all over America hoping this is simply a run-of-the-mill correction, typically 10%. How much have stocks fallen? The Dow has plunged 9% since its peak a month ago. NASDAQ down 5% from its all-time high 2 weeks ago. So is it time to panic? Analysts say no. For one thing, the stock market is still much higher than it was when the year began. The Dow up 12% since January 1st. NASDAQ up 25%. So looking ahead, what else could move the market in a big way? As always, the Federal Reserve, which meets October 5th. Analysts say if Alan Greenspan raises interest rates again, stocks will probably fall. And if he doesn't raise rates, stocks will probably go up. What else worries the experts? The unexpected. Analysts say the market is volatile, easily rattled, as it was yesterday by Microsoft President Stephen Ballmer, who said this to a meeting of business writers and editors on the internet.
There is such an overvaluation of technology stocks. It is absurd. I would put our company in that category.
That set off a wave of selling, actually costing Ballmer more than $1 billion in his personal holding of Microsoft stock. He still has more than $20 billion worth. So is the bull market in danger? Most analysts say no.
By the end of this year, we will see stock prices higher than they are now.
Higher prices? That's because the economy is so solid. Interest rates still low, inflation almost non-existent, jobs for almost everyone who wants one, and corporate profits high. The bottom line for most analysts is that it will probably get worse before it gets better, but not that much worse. Tom?
Mike, what about a silver lining? Does anyone see one anywhere?
Some of them do, oddly enough. The people I talked to on Wall Street said they would rather see some of the air let out of the balloon than to have it keep growing and growing and growing and then burst. Tom?
Thanks very much. NBC's Mike Jensen tonight on Wall Street. And more bad news for North Carolina farmers. The financial news for them, in fact, is much more certain and much worse. Hurricane Floyd wiped out their crops in just one terrible night of wind and rain. More on that calamity now from NBC's Bob Dotson.
The receding floodwaters have left Roger Grimes a harvest of mud.
Everything just rotten.
His farm near Dunbar, North Carolina, had never flooded before. Not in 3 generations. His fields a mile from the Tar River.
It's terrible.
But tonight, after seeing this, his hopes are falling with the floodwaters.
And you see that? I have no crop.
This would have been a bumper cotton crop for Grimes. But all 800 acres he planted have been destroyed. Now, nearly half of this state's cotton crop may be lost. $143 million worth. Other farm losses are staggering, too. More than $1 billion in North Carolina alone. How big a loss was that? For the 55,000 people who lived in Halifax County, where the worst farm flooding occurred, that's $20,000 per person. Federal disaster declarations do make farmers eligible for low-interest loans, but agriculture officials say that may not be enough.
These farmers need some cash, and they don't need another loan. They need some type of payment that would come from the federal government.
Most farmers were already struggling to get by before the flood because of low prices in the hottest summer in years. Without a bailout, officials predict this disaster could put as many as 7,000 North Carolina farmers out of business.
If I don't get any help from the government, I have no idea. I won't ever recover from this. I just can't do it.
Whether a farmer survives often depends on one thing: insurance. Grimes pays about $22,000 a year to cover his 1,500 acres. Federal crop insurance protects him from any kind of natural disaster.
The insurance money will just be a Band-Aid just to help.
But many farmers, after several tough years, can't afford that insurance.
It's going to put a large amount of cotton farmers out of business.
Grimes Farm is one of 52,000 in North Carolina. Agriculture officials now expect nearly 15% to go under in the wake of Hurricane Floyd. Bob Dodson, NBC News, Atlanta.
And Hurricane Floyd left something else behind in North Carolina, a kind of toxic dump in the state as a result of all the ruptured sewer systems, the dead animals, and other forms of contamination. That part of the Floyd hangover tonight from NBC's Jim Avila.
Scientists from the U.S. Geological Survey today at their North Carolina laboratory, analyzing test results that show twice as much E. coli bacteria in the state's flooded rivers as is considered safe by the EPA.
It indicates that these floodwaters are contaminated with wastewaters.
The problem, amid the leaking gasoline, the flooded water treatment plants, and floating propane tanks, an estimated 500,000 hogs, 10 million chickens and turkeys drowned by rising rivers. Their remains now polluting drinking water, contaminating shallow wells.
Those are human health concerns. They carry pathogens, bacterial and viral pathogens that are of concern to human health.
Enough of a concern, the Department of Agriculture announced today it is making $5 million available to fund the disposal of decaying pigs and poultry. But some damage has already been done. This is Cape Fear, where North Carolina rivers meet the Atlantic Ocean, and where the experts now expect fish to start dying in days. Foul river water now creating a dead zone off the Carolina coast.
There'll be massive fish kills from the waste that have been released into the river.
It's not just livestock carcasses polluting North Carolina. It's their waste. Huge corporate hog farms underwater with thousands of animals whose waste flows into open cesspools called lagoons. Lagoons that have now spilled their banks, sending a tidal wave of dangerous bacteria seeping into the groundwater table.
Potentially, this is the largest public health risk we've ever had as a result of a natural disaster in North Carolina.
Creating an environmental disaster experts say may last years after Floyd's floodwaters are gone. Jim Avila, NBC News, Chicago.
And in Japan, a fierce storm has killed at least 26 people. Typhoon Bart tore across southern Japan with driving rain and wind gusts that reached over 100 miles an hour. The crew of a ship docked in a coastal town was battered by the storm, which is now slowly moving north. And in Taiwan, rescuers had to dig with their hands to free a 6-year-old boy trapped for 87 hours after this week's earthquake. Later, the bodies of his mother, father, and 4-year-old sister were found in the wreckage. Still ahead tonight, the family and the power of memories. NBC News in depth. Some old family photographs help a mother lost in the haze of Alzheimer's reconnect with her son.
Well, I feel like that today is one of the better experiences that I've had with my mother in months.
Finding new hope in the midst of the agony of Alzheimer's tonight in depth. And presidential candidate Pat Buchanan. He's always been controversial, but this time, has he gone too far?
28 different children from 28 different families with 28 different futures, whose parents all share the need for help making informed decisions on what matters most: their health, their finances, their future. One name, Aetna, for what matters most.
If heaven were a beach, you'd have the bluest skies, the warmest waves, and Red Lobster's ultimate feast. Lobster tail, snow crab legs, shrimp scampi, and golden fried butterfly shrimp. Escape to Red Lobster.
One word convinced me to take an herbal to help maintain memory: Centrum.
Centrum Ginkgo is different. Some brands can lack natural ingredients. Only Centrum uses